Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Biz Chicks TV. This is the place for tips, tools, and strategies to help you do business better and to take the hassle out of your hustle. I'm Francine Gregory, and Terralina Austin, she is traveling and having fun on the East Coast right now. And so I will be here. Dr. Tachi will be joining us either in Clubhouse or here live. And then we will also have TJ, Terry Johnson, online everywhere, who will be bringing us our social media news. Now, you know, we're going to have a lot to talk about today. So sit back, relax, put your chairs in their upright position. But we are here and over in the clubhouse. I see there's Cheryl and Ann and Shauna and Realtor Tracy, I believe that is, Paulette and the young lady down in the room. Anybody who would like to comment or join the conversation, we're happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to everybody watching on the replay, thank you for joining in as well. Now, we always start our broadcast off with This Week in Tech History. So let's see what happened. And I'm going to begin at October 3rd, 1950. AT&T Bell Laboratories researchers John Bardeen, Walter Bratton, and William Shockley receive a U.S. patent for their invention of the transistor, which they had successfully demonstrated 2 years earlier. The transistor completely revolutionized development of electronic and computerized technology. And that is a tongue twister. Okay. Next story, October 4th, 1957, the first man-made satellite to orbit the Earth, Sputnik 1, is launched from Baikonur, Kazakhstan, marking what is now considered the beginning of the space age. Surprising the world with its successful launch, Sputnik triggered the space race between the Soviet Union and the United States, ushering in an era of rapid advancement in the field of space exploration. After 3 months in orbit, Sputnik re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and burned up on January 4th, 1958. I'm still not going to Mars. October 5th, 2011, after a long battle with pancreatic cancer, technology visionary and founder of Apple Computer, Steve Jobs, passes away. Jobs' contribution to the technology industry are undeniable. Together with Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs started the personal computer revolution with their Apple II computer. After being forced out of Apple, Jobs went on to found Next Inc., and then purchased Pixar, the company that would redefine the animated motion picture industry. In 1997, Apple purchased Next, which brought Jobs back to Apple, and the technology developed at Next was used as the foundation for Apple's future operating systems, Mac OS and iOS. By introducing the iPhone and iPad, he ended the PC era he created, kickstarted the new world of technology, and led Apple from the brink of collapse to the most valuable company in the world. October 6, 1942, Chester Carlson is issued a patent on a process called electrophotography, now commonly known as photocopying. It was not until 1946 that a company had any interest in pursuing photocopying commercially. The Haloid Company finally licensed Carlson's patent and created the world's xerography to differentiate the process from traditional photography. Eventually, photocopying became such a large part of the company's revenue that Haloid changed their name to Xerox. And we all know all about Xeroxing this, and instead of saying copy, we say, I want to, Xerox that. It became a thing. Hey, Dr. Tachi. And then let's see, 1952, October 7th, the barcode technology was patented. I'm not tongue-tied today. Barcode technology was patented October 17th, 1952 by American inventors Norman Joseph Woodland and Bernard Silver. Okay. And now we use all kind of codes. We got barcodes, QR codes, all kind of codes. The first transistor calculator, October 7th, 1954, IBM researchers modify an existing Model 604 vacuum tube calculator to use transistors. So this experiment did not shrink the desk size machine nor make it any faster, but it did use only 5% of the power the vacuum tube used at that time. Yeah, transistor calculator. And October 8th, 1992, the video game Mortal Kombat is released into arcades and is now one of the most popular fighting games series in history. The original Mortal Kombat became well known for its graphic display of blood and deadly finishing moves known as fatalities. As often happens, the controversy surrounding the game only served to fuel its popularity. That is your week in tech history. Dr. Tachi, TJ is not yet in. And did I not send you a link to come live? I don't think I did.
I have a shoot.
Okay.
I can't come on camera.
No problem. So do you want to go ahead and tell us what's happening in media today?
Yeah. Give me just a second, please.
All right. Anybody want to chime in on the history of tech or what have you? I always like to ask, what new tech have you learned or you've been using lately? Because everything that we do is involving technology in some way, fashion. In some way, you know what I mean? Whatever we're doing, there's technology that's helping us get it done better, faster. Anybody in the clubhouse want to chime in? And or anybody, let me see, I got some comments over here. Good morning, Sean and Spencer. Oh, that's D Works. Hey, D, how are you doing? So, how has technology helped you? And I'm sure TJ is going to talk about the situation with Facebook. And we've all talked about the importance of having your stuff in another basket besides Facebook. I thought it was internet wide. I thought it was just, network wide. And Facebook was just one of the different components that was affected. Actually, it was Facebook's issue, and everybody that was connected to Facebook was having a problem because of Facebook. If I'm saying that correct, TJ will correct me when she gets here. But I thought, wow, what, and it's, go ahead, Dr. Tachi, started at 8:40 in the morning here. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think everybody forgets that this happened in 2019. I was really surprised by the response to this, where it was like War of the Worlds and Orson Welles, and people thought that aliens from Mars were invading. I was like, what? You all have short memories. You don't remember, and in fact, it was longer when it happened it was almost 24 hours.
Right.
It happened in 2019. So I'm like, and the difference this time is, I think the difference this time is that Facebook was in the media because of the whistleblower.
Right.
And that way it seemed very convenient
to have it go.
This happened. Oh, you want to do updates now? You can't distract us, Facebook. We see you. No, you don't, Bama. So I think that's what it was and why people were responding so heavily. And then, even though we could say it was just 2 short years ago, Facebook has really implemented some tools to deepen relationships with publishers, to deepen relationships with businesses, small businesses, to the point where there were a lot of small businesses, or there are quite a bit of small businesses that are using Facebook as a major strategy, which, in my opinion, is a mistake. It should be a strategy. It shouldn't be your only strategy. And so there were people that, their stores are completely contained on Facebook. But why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you do that and risk the fact that it would go down and you don't have a piece of real estate you own? You're renting space from that, and you're renting with your data and your, time, basically.
Right.
They can decide that that's not valuable at any point and let that go. So I think I was just really surprised, not surprised that it happened, but surprised by the response. Because I was like, damn, it was longer the last time. Well, why are you all crying now?
And yeah, like I said, I thought it was, when StreamYard went down, we're like, what is going on? And StreamYard recovered immediately because they worked around whatever Facebook's API was happening. They got it together and we were back up on StreamYard. But like Dr. Tachi said, if you were on Facebook alone and all of everything, you are tied into it. And I'm seeing the Borg, and you're all connected into the hive. You were gone. It was not going to be good for you. And then Mark says they forgot that they merely needed to unplug, wait 40 seconds, and plug it back in.
I bet they wish they were working. That was working.
Right. And I think they were doing upgrades and stuff. It just didn't tell us.
Well, that was the story that I saw. That part of it, there were a couple of things going on. And in fact, I have a Be More that's, I need to post that today because I have the second part with Shawana down there. And then I was able to do an interview with Lakeisha Williams, and she kind of broke down the whole thing. So I'm going to post that today and some of the things she talked about. But yeah, there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I'm sure there are a lot of conspiracy theories that are floating around because of it. But one thing that I posted in my timeline, an article from the New York Times, and it basically, the gist is that Facebook is more broken and fragmented than we think. And the responses and things that are going on, according to this writer, is that it is a response to a company that is starting to fall apart. And not even in trouble financially, in trouble with the Hill or the lawmakers, but one that sees its relevance waning and is like flapping its arms like mad to stay relevant. And it has all the markings of a company that is starting to lose relevance.
So now what? Okay, so we see the handwriting on the wall, or we should be seeing the handwriting on the wall. So what are, and I would like people to chime in, what will be your response?
Make sure you have something that you own. If nobody, and I think this has been the, and then obviously other people share, if you have something to chime in, please do. I think that people should not now say, oh, well, I'm going to do an email list later. I'm going to do a text group later. I'm going to form groups on, outside things, or really ramp up my website later. The later is now, because they've already shown you these witches aren't loyal. They're not trying to be loyal. All they're going to say is that we apologize for any inconvenience. You're not going to get any money back for any business that you may have lost. So it is really to your advantage to drive people someplace that you own and someplace stable. So a more stable platform than these ones that are volatile. Whenever you have a platform that has billions using it, I mean, at some point, it's just a question of when it fails as opposed to if it fails. So have something that's relatively foolproof.
Right. Because there's nothing to say that they won't do like Blab.
Oh, Black told us to go to hell quickly. I mean, they might as well just poured water on all of us on their way out. And oh, by the way, go to hell. I remember very vividly one of the founders in a blog post said, and I quote, "Most content sucks." How very dare you? And you're saying this to the people who helped build your raggedy Bama platform. You're saying this to us, and then you turn around and the founders of Blab then became the founders of, which one was it? Was it House Party or?
I think it was, yeah, because it was trying, and then they asked us to come over there. We was like,
I'm like, after you basically told us to take a hike, now you want me to come over there? Please, Emma, please. I'm not coming over there. And there was, it was a complete pivot in a sense from when it was more private House Party group things as opposed to the public conversations that were started. And, we like to blame the marketers for the downfall of Blab, which in a way, it was their fault. I don't need you to sell to me all the time without good content. But that was also on them. That was also on the founders, creating something that was compelling enough for us to want to stay. Because there was some great stuff. That's how I met Dr. Vibe. That's how I met a lot of great people.
And they didn't even give a warning. They didn't say, okay, we're going to take it down. They said tomorrow it's going down. We were like, what? And I don't even think we got an email. I don't know what happened, but it was like, wow, okay. And thus we had to pivot to another online platform. What was it? Fire Talk? Fire Talk was a pretty good platform.
Fire Talk, and they came out of the gate charging, but I don't know that they were able to, because for the classic movie salon, we used Fire Talk as well, and then we also used Smile Time. We used Huzzah. But
yes,
stuck. Nothing was able to stick, and there was always this is always the way it happens. The founder or the creators always come in when you're first on there and going into rooms and making sure everything is cool, and then one by one, slowly but surely, you start to notice you don't see them anymore. When you contact them via email, they're not as responsive. And this is how you know that they're either getting ready to pivot or close, because a lot of these founders are not doing it with the audience in mind. They're finding things like, let's build this because it's popular and then we can get acquired. They're creating it to sell so they can make a lot of money. So that's why this can never be your main strategy, because you're never the first thought in their mind. Never.
No, but they need you, but then they really don't need you. If you get my drift, they need you to be on the platform, but they're not going to do anything to make it. If they wanted to pivot and go, they're going to go. I could see them now. Okay, and you have to take in the age range of the people who are creating stuff. Their attention span is not that long.
No, not at all. And the interesting thing is you have to watch. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, like the Blue Man Group. The fact that they don't have people on their boards that understand human behavior from a generational standpoint, to know whether or not this is going to work and whether or not this is going to draw eyes and for how long. You can't predict some of these things, but you can at least kind of look at trends. I think all they're doing is looking at trends and not understanding the behaviors behind these trends. And this is why you have so many of them that fail. And they don't care, because they're really just trying to get acquired. If a bigger entity will acquire them, all the better for them.
Right.
I don't, just have another plan. That's all I have to say.
Right. Didn't we? Okay, it was back in the day, but they said don't put all your eggs in one basket. And
Absolutely.
And Facebook, even though Instagram and WhatsApp is there, that's still the same basket. It's just another corner of the basket, but it's the same basket.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me, though, the people that are like, oh, I don't use Facebook, I use Instagram. Well, then you use Facebook.
Right.
So
and then how is it that you don't know that?
I think sometimes we also are there, we can't use the same ruler to measure other people. We may be very tech savvy. We may be aware of who owns what, who acquired what date this is dropping, but I think the average person is not.
And
go ahead.
Oh, my thought was is that if I own a company, and this is okay, I'm just gonna go here. I need to do my homework. I need to know what's happening on the apps that I'm on, or well, maybe somebody else helped you get on and told you that, okay, you need to be here, here, and here. I can understand, Dr. Tachi. I see where you're going, but I still need to do my homework. I need to know what is going on where with my stuff. And I think when you go into Instagram, do they not say, hey, we can post this over to Facebook for you?
They do. I don't think, but here's the thing. You can also post to Twitter. You can also, for God's sake, I don't know why Tumblr is still on there, but you can also post to Tumblr. So maybe people are not making that connection because you can also post to other platforms.
That's true. That's very true. So I do think the lesson here is to get in there and figure out what is going on with your stuff. Email platforms. Do you have one that you're using? Because right now people like email is dead. Right now, no, you better have email. At least you have some type of contact information. Do you have email? And if you do, what email program are you using? I'd like to know from the audience. I use MailChimp. And they just got acquired by Intuit, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
And there was subtle changes with that too, because when you started out, they gave you free. You got 1,500 email. You got emails. You got stuff.
Actually, I don't know if they changed it, but when I had MailChimp, I was like, 2,000.
Then it dropped to 1,500, still good.
Okay.
They
dropped.
Right, they dropped it, and then they changed some stuff. Then you have to go to paid if you're going to have more than one person adminning, and some other things. You can they did some subtle changes, but they stayed free for a very long time, and you can still get a free account. It's it helps you to try it out and to learn the program so that you can do your email, and they teach you how to do email. You can do store, you can sell stuff through MailChimp now.
Wow.
Right. So it's important to figure out who you are going to use for email. I know we don't like to normally use it, but you can put people in it. Now, I also use text. I have a text company that I use that grabs emails and will put them in MailChimp for me, or integrates with MailChimp, and I'm sure it integrates with other companies as well. But I use text to campaigns, like you can text BIZ to 33777, you can text biz to 33777, and that will send you over to our circle so that you can become a part of the circle and do some things. But when you do that, I get a phone number and an email. If I ask for the email in there, you can ask for whatever you want. So there are different ways of gathering data, and you need to make it really easy for people to give, if you have, hey, get this free PDF or whatever. I should not have to fill out a dossier to get the free thing.
I agree. I'm ready for some news if you're ready.
Yeah. And then TJ is in the house too. So go ahead, Dr. Tachi. Hey, TJ.
Hey. Hello.
I have a shoot today, so if you don't mind, it's okay if I go first?
No, we don't mind at all.
Okay. Cool beans. Well, welcome do the kind of recap of what we talked about on Mediascope and actually some new stuff that's happening in the media space. And there's going to be a little bit of overlap with tech. So hopefully I'm not going into your space in some of these, but I'll ask you first, TJ, before I say it. So let's talk a little bit about No Time to Die, which is the latest iteration in the James Bond saga, which is the 25th James Bond film. Doesn't it feel like there have been 100 at this point?
Yeah, I'm thinking that, okay, why are we, okay, what is the hoopla? Okay.
But I love James Bond.
I do.
Love Daniel Craig. I'm a huge James Bond fan ever since the early days. With who's our favorite Scottish friend?
Sean Connery is the James Bond.
Yes.
I like that James Bond.
Sean Connery was, yes, he was an amazing James Bond and just sexy. How about that?
We like him.
No Time to Die blast to 6.3 million Thursday, just yesterday, at the box office. It could match the performance of Spectre and Skyfall, two others in the saga. So it's, again, after a long wait, it's finally open in North American theaters, brought in 6.3 million in preview screenings. It had opened to approximately 4,407 screens, so 4,407 screens, which is 19% better than the last James Bond film, Spectre, did in 2015. It made 5.3 million and opened to 70.4 million domestically, not to mention Skyfall in 2012, which made 4.6 million in previews, but opened to a much greater 88.3 million domestic. So we'll see this weekend what they're able to do collectively. And here's the thing, granted, it's opening in the midst of a pandemic, so we're being conservative, basically, according to the rap, by saying a $60 million opening. But there's hope that it can be in the range of the predecessors, depending on what. So, and then I think people are also, it's different if it was like at the very beginning of the pandemic. We're in the midst of it, but we're like now 20 months out. And I think there's some people that are still willing to risk to go to those nasty theaters, despite not Francine apparently.
We'll be going back to that one particular one. Oh my gosh.
No, they're off to a good start. It made 11.4 million in previews, as I said. And this is in part because it got off to a really good start in the UK. It earned a record 121 million last week amongst 54 international markets. So it's doing quite well. I still think that movies are going to have to get used to not making as much as they did in the past because of streaming. See, they're trying to put all these ridiculous things on it. Okay, 45 days before it can, in theaters, before it can come out streaming, etc. So they're still really trying to favor in-person exhibition, which I think is great. I'm a filmmaker, but it's also a mistake not to realize that this is how the industry is going. You can fight it all you like, but we'll find other ways, just like the bootleg people in the beauty shop selling out of their coats did.
Ooh, that was funny.
So that's what's going on with that. And I want to talk a little bit about a pair of glasses. This is a little bit of tech and media. Sunglasses, lightweight sunglasses that are made for the indoors, and they're turning TV shows into AR. So the tech company Nreal, I think is how they say it, Nreal, they have a latest offering that looks like an average pair of sunglasses, but they're tools that you can use to catch up on your YouTube subscriptions in augmented reality. So they weigh just 2.72 ounces, and they have a micro OLED punch that is built just for one purpose, to watch moving image content, basically. So it's a virtual display that's capable of 49 pixels per degree, which is an improvement on the company's previous hardware, because it just had 42 pixels per degree. And it runs, it has a refresh rate of 90 hertz, that's power per sec, a refresh rate of 90 hertz, which is fast compared to monitors and TV. So this is how, a refresh rate is how you're able to see things in a continuous stream as opposed to seeing things broken up, right? Where you notice there's a break in the action. So that's what they're talking about. So they're compatible with iOS as well and can be connected to an iPhone or an iPad. But if you're Android, they're also compatible for you too. Yay! So this is cool because now this allows programming to have all sorts of other things in there so you can watch things with augmented reality. And so let me just explain if you're not familiar. Augmented reality is layers, where you have layers of media on top of each other. So where the best way to explain it is like, remember with Pikachu Go? Was that was the name of the game? It was
Pokemon?
Pokemon Go, sorry. Pokemon Go.
Right.
Go, where you are looking at things in the real world, but there are layers of things on top. So you could grab Pikachu, you could grab these power balls, all these, and you're seeing that on your phone on top of the real world. So that's layers. Virtual reality is where you are immersed in a virtual world. So that's the difference in case anybody was not clear. I'm sure we all are, but I didn't want to not have anybody understand that. So these classes are made for you to view programming in virtual reality. So not just YouTube, but you can do things with Netflix, etc. So I thought that was actually cool, but I don't really think the price is cool. About $600. I don't need to see AR that badly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Moving on off of ridiculously priced glasses onto, are you going to talk about Fireside
TJ?
at all?
No.
TJ?
She said
no.
Okay, because I didn't want to step on your toes. And
No, go
I
ahead.
want Fireside because Fireside is really a media-based app, right?
Right.
So Mark Cuban has backed this app called Fireside. It launched to creators actually on Wednesday. Now, it's been around for a few months now, okay? In beta. They had a community of about 500 creators, and their collective audiences topped 100 million, according to the company. And so, what is Fireside? It is an app that is, according to TechCrunch and the company, is there for creators that need a robust set of tools for content creation, for distribution, for measurement, and for monetization. So they have live and interactive shows, and it's really been making waves. And again, if you have an app, get Mark Cuban to back you. Those of you who don't know Mark Cuban, he owns the Dallas Mavericks, and he also is a shark on Shark Tank, and an investor, a serial investor. So he's joined by people formerly from Google and YouTube and Node, and also Yammer, former Yammer employees. So again, there've been some early comparisons to live audio platforms like Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, but it does more because it can also do video as well. So I was intrigued as I was doing this. So I said, all right, I'm going to sign up for it, thinking, not knowing what to think. You don't just get in automatically. Oh. So I downloaded it onto my iPad. I tried to, look around. I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure. And I pressed something that would, for example, allow you to go live. And it said, why can't I go live? I said, here we go. And you have to apply. So you apply in the app to go live. And then it said, yeah, we'll get back to you. I said, all right, I won't hear anytime soon. Today I got an email saying, hey, they ask you a bunch of stuff with your social channels. If you have a podcast, if you have other show, they ask you all of that. Put that all down. They also ask you who your favorite content creators are. I'm like, sheesh, it's like applying for a damn job. So I did all that in the business and the interest of experiment. Got the email back, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to move forward to the next part of the application." The next part of the application. Here are some times for a group call. What? So I said, okay. So they gave me 3 times. So I'll see I said I could do Monday. I'll see what they're talking about there. But this is a several. If you are interested in Fireside, it is not a lickety split process. It is a several step pronged approach.
Wow.
So, yeah, but
Wow.
I'm interested to see. It seems like they have a lot there. Again, it's that building that FOMO type of thing. If you don't have access to it, you want to know what it's all about. It's similar to what happened here on
Clubhouse.
What the hell is this?
Clubhouse. But you didn't have to fill out all of that. You didn't have to give a pint of blood to get in.
Yeah, exactly. You just had to, have an invite, but to skip the line. But they asked us, all right, we already have a waiting list. Why should you skip the line? And I'm like, don't you know who I am? Why should I not skip the line? That should be your question. I did fill it out and I did give some reasonably thoughtful answers, which, when you have so much to do, it's like you're asking for. And so that's the thing. That's going to weed out the people who really are not serious. The fact that you actually have to go through this application process.
Yep. Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So that's that with that. Unless anybody has any other things, I'm going to move on to YouTube.
Let's hear what's happening with YouTube.
YouTube did a study. The creator economy apparently supports the equivalent of 394,000 full-time U.S. jobs, which contributes $20.5 billion to the U.S. gross domestic product last year. So they released this study on Wednesday. And this is spurred by its massive video service supports. And I mean, I'm blown by I'm actually not blown. I'm not surprised. A lot of people have fired their jobs because of, taking a chance at being a full-time creator on YouTube, right?
Right.
And it's done well for a lot of people. So let's look at this in context. So according to CNET, the entire U.S. workforce had 124 million actual full-time workers at the end of last year. And this is according to the U.S. government's Bureau of Labor Statistics. The U.S. total gross domestic product in 2020 was about $21 trillion, according to this same bureau. Google has at least 2 billion monthly active users, and it's the world's biggest online video operation. So the study also disclosed internal YouTube data that more than 38,000 U.S. channels had at least 100,000 subscribers, and that more than 5,000 channels had at least 1 million subscribers as of the end of last year. This is pretty big when it comes to numbers and when it comes to video and the power of video. That's why I thought this study was so interesting. Now, everybody who's on YouTube is not making bank enough to do that. Okay, granted, I just started YouTube. It started being, I not just started, but just started being serious with YouTube. So I'm not making anywhere near those kind of numbers yet. I'm not even monetized. But if you sit down and decide this is what you want to do, it takes work, but it's doable. And I'm wondering what the response is going to be by other apps, etc., by YouTube, etc. So I found that interesting.
I think YouTube is a viable platform. We're going to do a workshop on it coming up. I went in there, and like you said, if you put in the work, there will be some benefit.
Right.
And it's not, you just have to know exactly what to do, what button to push, the sequence, and how you do things. And once you understand the recipe, you're going to be pretty good. But you're going to have to be consistent. That's the thing with YouTube. You can't be inconsistent. There's a whole method to it where people are going to come back, because I've seen some stuff and I'm like, how do you have so many viewers, and how are you doing this with the crazy stuff that you're doing? But they're consistent with it, even though their camera work may not be pristine and all of that. They're consistent every
Right, because it's not about the because see people think it, and Dr. Tachi will tell you people think it's the production value, like you got to have a friend set or something set where you're on network TV. You really don't have to do that as long as you're getting your message across. That's all that matters. And the sound is important, and the
Right.
lighting. But having I gotta have somebody come in and design my set like I'm NBC or something. You don't have to do that.
Nope.
Not on YouTube.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Obviously, I'm from the world of film and video, where my default is to have things done properly, and that's always helpful when you need to repurpose this, or somebody from a major network or whatever asks for your stuff. It's great if your stuff actually looks good, but for YouTubers who their purpose is to engage on YouTube,
Yep.
you're probably okay with getting away with what you do. But I mean, if you have good production value, it always helps. But
Yeah.
really, on YouTube, it is definitely the message, and then you're right, the sound.
Right, and it's the production. Your set is not the deal breaker. Now you don't want to have it messy, but you don't have to go all out. And I gotta get a set designer. That's not the make or break it point. It's the message and what you're saying. Because you could have the best looking set and say nonsense, and people are like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Well, we can look at this. A lot of YouTube. There are many YouTubers that I watch that are production sites where they talk about the latest camera. They talk about these things. Now, I'm into it because I'm a nerd and a techie, and I like it. But the average person, they're not going to like it, because you've got lens, you've got the bokeh all nicely soft focused, you've got a great set, you've got the lighting, but you're boring as hell.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's not to make it or break it.
Right.
That's not to make it or break it.
Exactly. YouTube is about personalities as much as it is about production. So, and I think, though, that it's starting to come to a happy medium, because the personalities are realizing, because here's the thing, too, that I can't stand. YouTubers who are doing handheld stuff, and it feels like I'm on a sinking ship because you're shaking around so much. Can you bloody stand still? Well, guess what? Get a gimbal, damn it, so that you can be still. In that case, I can see. I'm like, ugh.
Right.
You mean the ones where you feel like you're on a roller coaster? Those videos?
Yes. It's like, hey, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to go downtown, and I'm going to do a haul. We're doing a Zara haul today. And they're holding it in front of their face, and you feel like they're doing the electric slide because it's moving so much. Because they did all the money that they're monetizing, and they don't bloody bother to get a damn gimbal. That's where I have a problem. You don't respect me enough to keep me still so I don't get a headache? Come on. I'm sorry. I digress. Off of my chair.
No, you're right. I don't watch those things turn me off too. The handheld and the shaky and the
And then they do have stabilizer functions on the thing. Like if your video was shaking in YouTube, you can push the stabilizer button so that it doesn't do that. But you need to know that
you're right. But the stabilizer only goes so far. And gimbal will get it so that even if you shake, the camera's going to stay in the same place. So that's what they need. And I'm like, you people are, some of these people are like about to net $1 million, and you can't spend $300 on a gimbal for your camera. Okay, I'll shut up. But there's also the format. With YouTube, it's also about format. I can see the difference. Like, there are some YouTubers that I'm like, all right, they're the gold standards. All the rest of you all, you need to go and watch what she or he is doing, because they have a format that they follow all the time for this type of thing. Then people are like, okay, well, what's your outfit of the day? Okay, instead of being all over the place, like, all right, it's okay if you're doing a day in my life vlog, but if you do that all the damn time, okay, give us some other content. We appreciate that, but I need something. Give me some other value besides what you are doing.
So what I'm hearing you say is you have to have a plan with YouTube. You're gonna need to know. It's the same thing with your Facebook engagement and Twitter. You have a plan of what it is that you're going to talk about. You just can't be random.
Yeah. You have to plan it, and it's not like you have to sit down and write the sitcom. Like, this line, that line. But you have to have some kind of structure where I'm going, I'm going to talk a point about this point, and then I'm going to move to this point, and in between the points, you can, riff and talk off your head. But it's not like you going by a script and you're sitting there and you're reading a script like you're the anchor on the news. That's not going to work.
Right.
Absolutely. And speaking of YouTube, which is owned by Google announced yesterday that they're no longer going to allow ads or monetization for content that promotes climate change denialism. So this policy change is going to apply to publishers, advertisers, and YouTube creators. So you're not going to be able to make money off of content that they say, quote, contradicts well-established scientific consensus around the existence and causes of climate change. And this is according to TechCrunch. So Google is enforcing this new policy with a blend of algorithmic detection and human moderation. And the change will go into effect next month. Now, there is room for interpretation in these rules, according to Google. Here's what they say. Content referring to climate change as a hoax or a scam, claims denying that long-term trends show global climate is warming, and claims that denying that greenhouse gas emissions or human activity contribute to climate change. Those are all things that they are looking for. So why are they doing this? They said that this policy change is reflecting the desires of advertisers who just don't want their ads to appear next to this content. So is it that they're being fine and upright and believing science? Or is it that they don't want to lose those advertising dollars? You tell me. So that's what's happening on that front. I have one more story for you. Let's talk about America's trust in media. Another study. A Gallup poll. They released their latest on Americans' trust in media. They find that just 36% have a great deal or fair amount of faith in what they hear and see in the news. This is the second lowest on record, rivaling the 32% in 2016. During that, we know what happened in 2016, the presidential campaign. There's a wide gap in the trust in media, as we can probably postulate, between Democrats and Republicans, with Democrats at 68% trust in media and Republicans at just 11%. So among independents, the figure is 31%. So Gallup says that the trust in media has averaged 45% since 1997, but has not reached a majority level since 2003. The poll showed also that just 7% have a great deal of trust in the media, while 34% have none at all. Wow. So this was a question they asked. In general, how much trust and confidence do you have in the mass media, such as newspapers, TV, and radio, when it comes to reporting the news fully, accurately, and fairly? And of course, they had the Likert scale of a great deal, fair amount, not very much, or none at all. So the complaints about, quote, the media, as if it's a singular entity, is basically an American pastime. So this is interesting. We knew, I wasn't surprised that there was going to be a big gap between political parties, but it's at a low. And it's interesting. It's a sign of the times, actually. And that's what I have for you today in media.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tachi. And all the best to you on your shoot today.
Thank you, and thank you again.
Oh, is she getting ready to go? I was going to ask a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you following what's going on with is it Ozzy or Ozzy Media?
Ozzy.
Ozzy.
Yeah, I had that as a story, but I didn't want to take too much time. I am. And you know, when you're like with Ozzy Media, now I knew Ozzy Media. I don't think I realized that they were Black owned. So when I saw this, I said, and I saw the name, what's his name? Carlo, I said, please don't let him be Black. Please don't let him be Black. And of course, he's Black. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that are not familiar, Ozzy Media is a media outlet that they're actually a production company, media outlet. They took on, I forgot what show it is that they had produced on OWN. I can't remember. But yeah, there's a lot going on. The latest being that it came out that Aussie Media got a 5.7. Okay, so there's questions about their business practices. One of the co-founders on a call actually got on and pretended to be a head from YouTube during one of the calls. And that was where it started. But apparently there's a lot happened. So apparently Aussie Media also got a 5.7 billion package in relief loans to help pay employees, but ex-staffers said they didn't see any of it from a PPP loan.
Now, oh.
Yeah, so that's the latest that's happening with that. Several employees said that there's no evidence that the millions of dollars that they received in COVID relief ever went to save jobs or to boost pay. So they have a lot of questionable business tactics, and that's part of it.
Yeah, because what's the head Carlos? I forgot his last name. He was
Carlos Watson.
Watson, yes, that's it. He was all over the news this week explaining what was going on, but I didn't get any really clear answer for him. Like, are you frauding or you aren't? It's real simple, but he was going on about, oh, he worked for Goldman Sachs or some investment firm and he's been this and he's got connections and blah, but he didn't really answer the accusation. So, and I know he was on the Breakfast Club too, saying some things about like some other Black journalists, like they're not supporting him, they're pointing out what's wrong instead of supporting. I'm like, dude, if you're doing wrong, we're gonna point you out. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care what color you are.
And I just got finished talking about this. I need us to stop simply because a person is Black, blindly supporting and sweeping wrong under the rug. This is why the R. Kelly thing is happening. This is why the Bill Cosby thing is happening. Because what we'll do is be like, well, when such and such did it, nobody said anything. We're not talking about such and such now. Right now, we're talking about Aussie Media and what the hell you did. When we talk about what CNN did, then we'll get that. I'm tired of us not taking
don't do that. And he was on, what I didn't like was he was talking to Craig Melvin. He was on CNBC. He was on some of my financial shows. And I was like, why is this guy here trying to keep the flames down of his reputation going up in smoke? But if you have shady people doing this, or if you told them to do this and you knew it was wrong, then you're wrong. I'm not going to support you because, oh, well, like you said, well, that's a Black company. You have to do right. Every company has to do that. You have to do right. Just like what's going on with Facebook. You have to do right.
This does not absolve, because you're a Black company, does not absolve you of your responsibility to do right now. Are there roadblocks and obstacles that, because you are Black, make it harder for you? Absolutely. Yes. I 100% agree. But what we keep doing is comparing apples to oranges. You did something wrong. The best thing to do, if you're trying to save your company, come out and say what was not right and apologize. I don't know who your PR people are, but stop trying to. This is for any company, not just Black company. If you did something wrong and you know something was done wrong, you're responsible for it. I don't care if you didn't know. Apologize for it. Say what you're going to do to make it right, and do what it takes to make it right.
He didn't do any of that. There was no apology. There was all like explanation and this, and I've been this and this, and then he was on the Breakfast Club saying about other Black journalists was calling him out on Twitter and saying stuff instead of supporting him. I'm like, dude, this is your opportunity to come clean and say, yes, we made a mistake. This is what I'm going to do to rectify. He didn't do any of that. So that's why I was like,
And here's the thing, conversely, we always talk about, when we talk about Black entities or Black businesses, how we need to support. Well, are you supporting did you say anything about the non-melanated journalists who had something? Because I'm looking at CNBC. Did you have anything to say to the CNBC journalists about them not supporting you? No, you only targeted the Black ones. So it can't go Black both ways, Carlos Watson.
And he was only on CNBC because one of the anchors was saying, "Oh, I know him," and he was involved somehow with the with one of the shows or something. Like they told him it was going to be on. Yes, they told him it was going to be on AMC or something, and that's why he got involved. And it come to find out, oh no, they hadn't sold it to them, and they were going to do it because he was asking when would it air, and they could never give him a straight answer. And I'm like, dude, that's shady. That's shady. It doesn't pass the smell test. It's not adding up right. And I'm just like, I take my own opinion when I see somebody on TV and they're going this route. I'm like, dude, you need to come on and say we made a mistake or this mistake, and I own it because I'm the CEO. Duh. And this is what we're gonna do to fix it. So I was just like, all right.
You know, I feel badly because I do look at it from the fact that we don't have very many large, I don't like the word minority, but melanated owned outlets, media outlets. So the ones that we have, I really like to support, obviously, and make a big deal out of it because there are so few, and the majority of media owned in this country are non-melanated owned. So you do want them to win, and I really do want them to win. But you also have to realize that because of the scrutiny, you have to do, but you don't have the luxury of doing what they do. You
have to do things. Right. You have to do things to make us want to support you, not just because that we should automatically just fall in line. No, you got to do things the right way. The rules.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm hoping for the best. That he did ask. So it wasn't him who impersonated the YouTube executive. It was the co-founder and COO Samira Rao who did that, and she said that did ask Rowe to step down, despite claiming the incident stemmed from a mental health issue. Then you shouldn't be on the phone on the call with this. Well, that's what the claim was. It's
okay.
So I'm hoping that they're able to rectify it, do something right, apologize for what was done. If you didn't use the PPP money in the proper way, pay it back, because you're going to have to pay it back if you didn't. What happens is you have to show all, how it was used, extensive records of how it was used, because it's supposed to be for payroll.
Right.
If you can't show how it was used, then you have to pay it back. So
exactly. So, all right. I just wanted to bring that up because I know you knew about it, and I discovered it this week, and I was like, what? Aussie Media, what is that? So I found out.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Mark Ward has put a comment up. Mysteriously, Tachi is never heard from again. This is when you were talking about a story a while back, but Mark still has jokes. And then we had Tora Sprague's in the house.
Squid Game will protect me.
Yes. And we had Tora Sprague in the house. Tora has, glad to see her pop through here. And now we're moving on to this week in media. Social media.
This week in social media news. Mm-hmm. I know you're holding on for that Facebook news. We're going to hold that for the end. That's a big topic this week. All right, I'm going to start with Snapchat. Snapchat has let me talk about their new tool before I move on to some controversy with them. So they have an in-app tool that is encouraging young people to run for office. So they're trying to help young Americans get involved in politics. It's called Run for Office. It's a mini, they have those mini apps inside of Snapchat. So it's a curated database of more than 75,000 local and state elected positions. And Snapchat the Snapchat users can browse through and see the opportunities. And then they will also ask you, like, what are some of the issues that you care about, that you're passionate about? And, some things, environment, economy, education. And then they kind of match you with, what's available, and then encourage you to run for office. So it's called Run for Office. This is Snapchat Is it Snapchat? No, it's So they are doing this with help from a organization called New American Leaders. So they put out a statement saying running for office shouldn't be just for those who are white and wealthy. If we want a democracy that works and represents all of us, then we need leaders who reflect our increasingly diverse multicultural community. That was the president of New American Leaders. Okay, so they want to help, young people, encourage them and give them the information and connect them. So it's a good thing. Now,
Nice.
yeah. So Snapchat now has launched challenges with cash prizes for creators. Now, remember, Snapchat had their spotlight thing where they were giving away $1 million a day, and then they changed it to $1 million a month, and then the Snapchat users got upset and went to TikTok and other places. So now they are introducing some new tools, and one of them is this spotlight challenges. They're going to offer cash prizes for top performing spotlight content, and it's going to you will have the chance to win cash, where each individual challenge will reward an average of 3 to 5 creators as the winner. So the minimum prize is 250, but it can go from 1,000 to 2,500, and Snapchat decides like the amount, and you have to run some challenges. So they're trying to average this out again instead of paying, this large amount of sum to one person. They're saying, okay, we're going to see using these challenges and putting them on the trending page and see who gets what, and we determine it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a chance to win. So Snapchat is coming up with this because they're saying that they want to give out prizes. They don't want it to be a paycheck, because that's what was happening before when it first came out with the 1 million a day. People were, oh, well, I'm going to treat this like a job and do this and that. And so Snapchat is saying this is a chance to win a prize. Don't put this is your income based on, I'm going to make all of these challenge videos for Snapchat.
So it's like a lottery now.
Right. So they're trying to move away from creators expecting these large paydays and treating it as a job. So good luck with that, Snapchat. They have some other tools. Let me go through them real quickly. So they have a gifting feature. They've expanded that to worldwide creators. They have something called Creator Marketplace. It includes Snap Stars. These are top creators with verified accounts, and it connects businesses with Snap Stars worldwide for brand deals. They're also putting in a sponsored by tab for businesses with public profiles, so Snap Stars can tag the brands in their sponsored content for transparency. And when they do that, 100% of the transaction goes to the creators. They're also launching a how-to resource called the Creator Hub. Gives you information on how to get started in Spotlight, and this, connected to the challenge, and other tips, and tell you how to use the gifting feature and the Snap Stars. And they're allowing fans to support creators using Snap tokens through story replies. Now, the Snap Star, they get a share of this revenue from the gifts they get from this. So this is what Snapchat is working on. They're redefining, retooling their prize awards, and they don't want you to think of it as a job where you expect a guaranteed paycheck. Okay, so that's Snapchat. Yeah, so let's go up to Google. Google has and this is important because we talked about this, two-factor authentication. Google is turning on two-factor authentication, and it will be abbreviated as an acronym 2FA. So I'm going to say 2FA. It's like a second key to protect your account. So they're turning this on by default, and they're encouraging people to go in and manage your account and set it up before they turn it on. So they're trying to do this to get people to protect their accounts. They're going ahead with this plan, and in August they pushed this out they're saying to 2 million YouTube creators to protect their channel from being hacked. They turned on the 2FA verification to access Studio. That Studio is the section where you get to manage your YouTube channel. And so they're saying by the end of the year, Google will have automatically enabled 2FA for 150 million more accounts. So they're turning it on by default. By default, I'm assuming they're going to send us some kind of email saying we turned on your 2FA and here's the code, or whatever the process is. I don't think they're just going to turn it on and then you won't be able to get in. We'll keep an eye on that. So, but 2FA is important because you see what the people getting their accounts hacked, especially on Twitter. Remember a few months, was it earlier this year or last year, like a Barack Obama and all those people, their accounts were hacked into, and they were sending out tweets because they didn't have the secure level of 2FA on. They had the I think you get a code by SMS, which is not too secure. So we'll see what's going on with Google. All right, so let's move on to Twitter. Twitter is testing warnings about intense conversations on the app. It's a heads up notice, and it's called heads up. So I'm guessing this will be, it's like a helpful announcement, and I guess they decide how the level of feistiness or the level of whatever with the conversations on Twitter. So they're trying to prevent toxic conversations. So this is one way for you to opt out of a potentially contentious argument, so you don't get into a back and forth with trolls and stuff. This kind of reminds me of that gif or that meme where Homer, when Homer comes out of the hedge and then he backs up in the hedge because I'm assuming he sees something. So this is kind of like that. They're going to say, hey, if you see this one tweet, there's a conversation going on and you may not want to be a part of it. So the terminology is heads up. Conversations like this can be intense, and there'll be a blue bar under that main tweet where the conversations are happening. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, called heads up. And also, Twitter invested in Facemoji. Now, this one I saw today. So they invested in this company, Facemoji, where is like Memoji and Bitmoji, where you're an avatar. So look out. Maybe that may be coming to Twitter sometime soon. But they've invested in this company. They haven't bought it. They invested in it, so they might use this technology on Twitter. So keep an eye out for that. All right, so TikTok, here's some TikTok news. TikTok is coming to LG smart TVs. So they've launched an app for LG's 2020 and 2021 smart TVs, and they're going to, this is launching in the UK, France, and Germany. Now, in the US, TikTok already released a more on TikTok app on Fire TV devices last year. So TikTok is trying to move into your TV. So take a look for that. And Instagram. Wait, before I go to Instagram, let me make sure. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Instagram. Instagram is merging IGTV and feed videos into one format, calling it Instagram video. Now, what's the big deal about this? Well, there won't be an IGTV section in the app. There will be a play button at the top. Under your profile, there's the feed button, the reels button, the guides button. Do everybody know what I'm talking about? Those buttons right on above your post when you go to your profile. So they're going to put a play button there, and that's going to be for Instagram video. So it's going to have its own tab. Why is Instagram doing this? They want to make it easier for people to discover new video content. So they're sticking the video content. This is not Reels. Now, remember, Reels is the 15, 30-second TikTok-like videos. That has its own section. So they're like, okay, nobody's paying attention to IGTV. So let's get rid of that and just call it Instagram video and put a play button in that row of buttons. And they're going to add features like trimming filters and people and location tagging to make people use Instagram video. Is anybody excited about that? Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're already confused about stuff.
Right. And I think I don't know if I said this before. I may have, like maybe a year or two ago, that they have maybe doing something with Instagram with the video, like putting it all together. Because like you said, it's confusing. There's reels, there's stories, there's IGTV, there's this, there's that. You don't know where to go, and they keep moving the buttons around. So it's like, hey, just make it video. Everything goes on the video button. Here's the
Right.
post. Right. Here's the post button on your feed. Those are the pictures. And here's the video tab where if you're doing video, everything goes on there. But they want to separate reels out because the TikTok factor. So this makes sense. Make it less confusing for everybody on Instagram.
But why would they do that?
they have Instagram has so many places to put content.
They're just as confused as their parent company.
They are. And see, now remember, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago when the founders of Instagram, they left Facebook, and we were wondering why. I said, well, this because they're messing up their baby. They messed up the baby.
They Frankenstein the baby.
They Frankenstein the baby. They cut up the baby. They put parts here and there because Facebook wanted to kind of get the fountain of youth from Instagram. Because remember, Facebook users are skew older, so Instagram users are younger in that demo that they want to have, that the 18 to 34, which they're not on Facebook. They're really not on Facebook now after this week. All right, so moving on to Facebook. So Facebook has an option to share posts to multiple groups at once. So you can make this your post and you can say, okay, cross, they have that thing called cross posting the pages. Now they have cross posting to groups. So it's trying to streamline, when you make a post, instead of you going here and going to this group and putting the post, you can say, hey, I want to put it in more than one group.
That's if you can find out how to get to create the post in the first place.
All right, let's talk about that real quick. So now, remember, I think I mentioned last week that you can use Creator Studio. Instead of going on the desktop, instead of going to facebook.com, you go to business.facebook.com/creator studio. But now they've moved another goalpost or whatever. So now if you manage more than one page, they ask you to go to Business Suite, which is business.facebook.com without this Creator Studio. It's confusing.
It was very confusing because I went in there to do something and I was like, okay, where did Creator Studio go? I couldn't find it.
Because if you manage a bunch of pages, they want you to use the Business Suite, which is, they're not calling it Business Suite on the desktop, but it's the Business Suite app on mobile, which is what it is on desktop. So now I'm training myself because I manage a lot of pages. So I go to business.facebook.com instead of going to facebook.com, because if you go to the regular Facebook and you go to your page, it's confusing, and they'll ask you, do you want to make a post using facebook.com or do you want to make a post using Creator Studio? And now it's Business Suite. I saw another prompt this week. Oh, do you want to use Business Suite? I'm like, come on, Facebook. Come on. Get it together. So now, if you manage a bunch of pages and you want to work with your pages only, go to business.facebook.com. Don't go to Creator Studio. Got it?
Yeah.
That happened this week. And there's no direction. They don't give you any advice. Like, if you manage pages, you might find the Business Suite better, which I don't know. Facebook is a lot of, you know what's going on with them. Okay. Yeah. So, Facebook was down. Let's talk about it. Facebook was down this week. There's the whistleblower. She went before Congress the other day. I don't know her name. She had an interview on 60 Minutes. Facebook had a DNS issue and it was down like 8 hours on, was it Monday? I forgot what day it was. People went nuts. They did. They went nuts.
They went completely out of it.
They went bonkers. It was, I liken it to an addict. That's the only thing I could think about. It was like they didn't have their fix, their drug, and they didn't know what to do. Oh, and then they ran to Twitter and they ran to TikTok. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm like, come on, people.
Because see what it was on. We were on Monday, and then right afterwards we tried
Yep.
to do something on StreamYard, and we were like, "Why can't we?" It was
That's
not
when it happened.
moving.
It happened like 11:45
Right, it was
ish.
8:40 on the 8:40 our time.
Right after your show was over, that's when it went. Because I was like, oh yeah, everything's good with Facebook, and all of a sudden it said it couldn't find Facebook.com. It's like, what's going on? So
And
it
I
was
didn't get that because I wasn't in Facebook. I was
right,
on StreamYard, and I couldn't, and it was spinning and kept spinning, and we're like,
right.
"What is going
Because
on?"
there was in StreamYard, there was no place to go to. Like
Right,
the whole DNS, which is the lookup with the URL and the server connection, was broken. So it
right.
was looking for Facebook, and Facebook wasn't there, so it didn't know what to do. That's why I kept spinning.
Right,
And
and StreamYard it came on and said, you know how they put the little banner
yeah,
up
they
and
put the
said
little banner up.
that Facebook was having issues, and
Right.
that they were down. They apologized, but they did something in the back, and now they're back, but Facebook was still out.
Right, because Facebook was like, what happened is Facebook was like a house that you go to the address and you go there every day delivering papers or delivering or visiting or whatever, and then you went that day and the whole house disappeared, and you're standing there going, "Where's the house?" Because it disappeared. That's what happened.
Right. And it
And
was
so
it, and there was a lot of other people who were connected with Facebook,
yes,
and you
the
couldn't.
logins,
All of their stuff was down because they were connected to
right,
Facebook. The
because
API on Facebook was
this okay
non-existent.
so let's talk about this. I don't know if I remember saying this here, but when you go to another site and they say, oh, do you want to log in with Google or do you want to log in with Facebook? No, use an email. I know it's a pain in the butt. Use an email address and a password, because now you see what happens when Facebook disappears your entry into this other website that uses the API to let you log in. It's gone. Facebook employees couldn't even get into the building because everything with the passes, that's all controlled in the cloud on a server, which wasn't there. With the connection wasn't there. So it couldn't let people into the building because people are like, well, how come Facebook employees couldn't get into the building? Because all that's electronic in the cloud based on servers and websites and DNS. And so you got to know that stuff. So
And that's why you don't have all your stuff connected up to Facebook.
right. So whenever it says log in with Google, I don't. Whatever it says log in with your Facebook credentials, I don't. Because of this. Because of this. So this means when you set up an account on some other third site and they say, "Oh, make it so easy to log in with Facebook," I go, "Nope." And I go, I set up the email and the password and do that whole rigmarole.
Right, I do too.
Yeah. And the reason why you do that is because you can use something like LastPass, a password manager where you store all those email addresses and passwords in there. So you
Right.
don't have to remember them.
And quite as it's kept on an Apple device, it'll create a password for
Yes.
you, and it'll go in your
The
keychain.
keychain. Yes,
And
it'll do it
and
automatically.
right, and your
Mhm.
keychain is on all of your devices, your
Yeah.
phone, your iPad, your MacBook,
Yes,
whatever.
because all that's connected to your Apple ID, your
Mhm.
user ID. So, but when you go to when you sign up for a new account with some service, some product, some service, and they have a website and they say create your account and log in with Facebook. No, because you see what happens. You won't be able to log in, and it'll be something important that you'll need to work on, but you can't work on because Facebook is down. So we've been saying it here. I don't know how many times we said it. Don't run your business off of Facebook. Don't let Facebook log you in, nothing, because it's a web server, it's a page, it's a website that goes down. Even though it's an app on your phone, it has to be a website on a server somewhere first. So take that advice. I've been saying it, I'll keep saying it. All right, so we're done. I think, are we done? I
I,
lost
I
my Oh,
I think so, unless we have any comments from the people in Clubhouse or anybody on um Tasha
okay.
DeMay says, I love Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, she's always on point.
Yeah.
And Cheryl?
Yes, I just want to say this was a fantastic show. It always is, but this one was extra special with all the bonus. And of course, Dr. Tachi and the two of you all make a great, and Terry, when she's there as well, make a great combo. So thanks so much for this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for saying
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment? And if you do, just raise your hand and I'll get you on stage over in the Clubhouse.
Well, what I will say real quick is that, if you like what we do here every week during the weekday, every weekday, tell everybody and let's have more people watching. And they don't have to come to Facebook. They can go to YouTube. They can go to Clubhouse. They can go wherever.
Right. And they can even go to the Biz Chicks Circle because we have the platform on Circle now. And if you want to see what that's like, you just text BIZ, that's text biz to 33777. And then check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let us know how that process goes too, because we want to know if it's a smooth process. We, because Facebook is a little cluttered, we wanted to have a space where people can go and connect with one another and it not be you're all distracted.
This is a wake-up call because now we're on Circle. There's other networks, there's Mighty Networks, there's other places. So now you see with Facebook going down, and it has gone down before. That's why I've said this over and over. Make sure all your eggs is not in one basket with Facebook. Don't run your business off of it. Use the tools for getting attention and getting more people into your community and your audience. But make sure you're taking them somewhere else, because this is look, Facebook down 8 hours. Businesses can't run ads. They can't talk to customers. They can't do this. They can't do that. And so many people didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do with themselves, because I'm like, Facebook must be a drug to these people, because they didn't know what to do. And Instagram and WhatsApp and Messenger, all of those, not just Facebook, all of those apps. So you gotta have your backup plan, your email list, your circle, your Mighty Network, your group. There's tons of places. Your website. You can even have people go to your website if you set it up properly for community management, for
because
conversation.
We used to do that. We used to have over on our website where you can join as a member on the website. And it, and you can still set that up. I'm sure TJ will be happy to walk you through that and help you figure that out. And that's literally yours at that point.
Right. Own media. Yeah. I put up a reel yesterday, my first one, and today talking about own media, because it's important. And we've been talking about own media on the Digital Marketing Tuesday show. We've been talking about own media for months. Why? For this very reason. You have to have your own thing. And what I'm going to say real quick is that you don't have, it's not more work, because once you're doing the onboarding process of getting people to, go to your this or your post or that, you put in there the call to action. Hey, come over here and put your email address, and then you can have it where it goes to your group on Facebook, or you can go wherever you want it to go.
Yep.
So it's not extra work. It's just planning, strategic planning, and having everything set up. I love system and processes and plannings.
Yeah, because systems make things a whole lot easier.
Yeah, because once you do your system, once you have your plan in place, your strategy, and you go, I'm do this, this, and this, all you do is plug and play.
Right. So we want to say thank you so much for joining in with us today. Monday, we'll be back with coffee, tea, thoughts, and insightful conversations. And we're going to go back to having interviews. So we're going to be wanting to have interviews with some of you all on a Monday to learn more about what's happening and how you help in the community, and we want to hear from you. So we want to say thank you to Cheryl and Dr. Tachi and Paulette and Wealthy and Tasha, Dryerbuzz, LaShonda, and Ann over in Clubhouse. We want to say thanks to Mark Ward over here in the Facebook Live or our live feed over here. Tora was in, and Sean and Spencer. And then there was
Awesome.
another Facebook user there, but we don't see their name. So thank you for watching live and on the replay. We will be back next week. TJ will be back on Tuesday. Yeah, with some more social media marketing and digital marketing strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you missed them, you can go over to our YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe, hit the icon button so that you're notified when we go live again. Or you can watch it inside the clubhouse, not the clubhouse, inside the circle. You can sit there inside the circle, comment, and just be in there. Tell us what you got going on when you're over there. And you can post about your events under the announcements page. There's a lot going on over there, but it is not as confusing as other places, because it's all about you in that circle. Yeah. All right, TJ, you got anything else?
No, just make sure to join us every weekday on Biz Chicks and Dr. Tachi's Media Scope on Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
always a great time. So
yeah. And then Dryer Buzz and some of the other ladies have things going on over in Clubhouse. I get notifications all the time. So just get on over there. And we want to learn about what you got going on. So please follow one another. I got to reach out to a couple of y'all over there to do some stuff I got coming up. So you will be hearing from me. And with that, if Terry was here, she would say, don't forget to go to the front of your own line, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.